Hey guys, it's Luke here from BassGorilla.com, and in this video I'm going to give you a refresher if you struggle to create chord progressions that sound good harmonically in the minor scale, and maybe you struggle to understand some music theory. This lesson is going to lay it all out for you so that you can create great sounding chord progressions quickly and easily, even if your knowledge of music theory is limited. So before I get into that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click that bell icon next to the subscribe button so that you get notified of all newest videos that we release from here on out. But with that said, let's get into it. So what we have here is a MIDI clip in Ableton Live, and as you can see, we're looking at the piano roll and we have a piano loaded up. So first thing you should know is that a C note is always to the left of the two black notes, and so here it is, that's the C note. And to create the C major scale, we just use all the white notes in that scale. So we're going to go C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then we go back to C for the next octave up. Sounds a bit cheesy, like a nursery rhyme, and so in most electronic music the most common scale used to create chord progressions is the minor scale. So how do you change from a major scale to a minor scale? Well, the answer is quite easy. All you do is take this third note in your octave, or in your scale, in your major scale, and you change it from being the major third down one semitone to being the minor third. And then you do the same with the sixth and the seventh notes. So now we have the C minor scale. And you can select all these notes and move the root note to any note you want. So this would be the D minor scale. This would be the C sharp minor scale, or you could call it the D flat minor scale because it's one semitone down from D. And so let's go to F. So now we have the F minor scale. And so once we have all those notes, what we can then do is just move them all to stack them all on top of each other. So this takes a little minute to do, but totally worth it. Okay, so in this video we're going to cover some important stuff. We're going to show you how to create seventh chords which have a more jazzy feel, and we're going to show you how to make use of inversions to make your chords sound a lot more fluid and continuous through the song. So right, we've got these stacked, and what we're going to do now is select all these notes, and in Ableton Live you can control click and deactivate those notes. What we're then going to do is drag this out to here and press Command J, and we're going to just move these out of the way. And so now what we can do is write our chord progression starting from the start of the second bar. And what I'm going to do is start with the one chord. So we have here the first note in the one chord. I'm going to just activate this. Then we're going to basically make a fifth chord. So a fifth contains the first note, the third note, and the fifth note. So we've got here the 1, the 3, and the 5. There we go. So there we have one chord, and as you can see, this is a minor chord, and the way that we can tell that is that we're using the minor scale and the minor third. So the minor third is just 1, 2, 3 semitones up from the root note. If it was a major third, it would be one note up again, so it would be 4 semitones up from the root note. But as you can see, that A note does not line up with the notes in our minor scale, so we can't use it. So we're just gonna keep it simple and use that. So the first note, the first chord, or the one chord in any minor scale chord progression is minor. Now let's look at the two chord. So the two chord is going to be, it's going to start with a 2. We're going to miss out the next note in the scale, and we're going to go with the one note up in the scale. Then we're going to miss this one and go there again. But as you can see, the intervals here to get from this first note in the chord to the second note in the chord, we're using a minor third interval again. So 1, 2, 3 semitones up. And then to go from this note here to that note there, it's another minor third interval. And so this is what we call a diminished chord, and the 2 note in the minor scale is always a diminished chord, and it doesn't sound particularly good. It's full of suspense, and so quite often in electronic music in particular, the 2 chord is not used when we're playing the minor scale. So we tend to miss that one out. And instead what we tend to use is the 3 chord is used a lot. All the other chords are used a lot. So we have here 1, 2, 3. So the first note in the 3 chord is going to be that G sharp. And then we're going to miss this one and play this one. Miss this one and play this one. So now we have a 1-3 chord progression. Okay, and we're just going to keep going, and I'll show you all the rest very quickly. So we have here the 4th note in our scale. This is going to create a 4 chord, and we're going to create a 5th again. So we're going to miss the next one, add in the one above that, miss the next one, add in the one above that. And as you can see, what we have here, that is a minor chord, that is a major chord, that is a minor chord. And you can tell that because of the middle note. That 3rd chord note is either minor or major, and it always has to line up with what we have in our scale. So now we have the 1-3-5 chord progression. The next one up is going to be we have a 1-3-4 chord progression. Now we're going to do the 5. So we have here the 5th note in our scale, miss the one above it and go for the one above that. And then we have the one above that. But as you can see, we're out of notes. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this back, Command J again. I'm going to select all these notes and I'm going to move them all to the left, and then I'm going to duplicate them, Shift and up to move them up an octave, and then move them back. So now we have the same scale again for the octave above. And so this is going to help us to create the remaining notes in this chord. So we're on the 5th chord, and this is just going to be miss this one and add in the G4. Okay, so let's check out what that sounds like so far. Okay, so pretty simple. This is what you would call, this is the 1 chord, 3 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord. And so let's just do 2 last chords just so that you know how to do them very easily. So I'm going to Command J again, and we're going to use, gets a bit tricky trying to see all these notes. So we've got 1, 3, 4, 5. So this is now, the C sharp 4 is the 6th note in our chord progression. So now we're going to make the 6th chord. So we have here the 6, we're going to skip the one above it, we're going to go for the next one, and you can see that's an interval of a major third, and then we're going to add in 2 above that. And then we're going to do the 7th. So this is the D sharp 4, add in that D sharp 4 note here. And so we're going to skip the F, go for the G, skip the G sharp, go for the A4. So always that 1, 3, 5 combination, right? So now this is what it sounds like. And you can see that all of these chords are either minor or major. So this is minor, major, minor, minor, major, major. And what we can now do is use inversions to make this sound a lot better. So when you invert a chord, you simply take the bottom note of it. In this case, we're looking at the 1 chord, the F minor chord, and you can move that up an octave. So I'll press Shift and up in Ableton, and now we have the first inversion. So this is still an F minor chord, but it's the first inversion of the F minor chord. We can invert it again to get the second inversion. If I select the bottom note now, the G sharp 3, and press Shift and up, we now have an F minor chord, which is played in the second inversion. Didn't sound as good as the first inversion. I could try selecting this and move it down an octave, or I could select this and move it down an octave. So this is how you create inversions, but what can make your music sound a lot better, or your chords sound a lot better, is when you start creating 7th chords. So a 7th chord is the first note, the 3rd note, the 5th note, and the 7th note in that chord. So if we look at this F minor chord, it's got a 1, 3, 5. We're going to skip the 6th and go with the 7th. Oops, we're going to go with that 7th note there, the D sharp 4. So now it sounds like this. If I just take that out, sounds a bit more jazzy. Let's do the same with our 3 chord. So we've got here the 2, the 4, the 6, and we're going to add in the 8. So the 8th note is this. And what we can then do is just continue the process. So we're going to have this, we'd have this, we'd have this, and we'd have this. So you can hear how that already sounds a lot jazzier, and what you can then do is just start inverting some of these chords. So I can select this F note, move it up an octave, and we have the first inversion of a F minor 7th chord. Okay, what you can then do is just start switching up the order of these chords. And it also helps to add in the root note an octave below, so that you can hear kind of more depth, like a grounding to the chords. So if I take this F note, move it down an octave, and re-add that in, then I can do the same for these other notes. And what we can start doing is swapping them around and just play with them like this. So what you could do is you could split each clip, or split the MIDI clip where each chord comes in, and then just start swapping around the order. So we already know that what we have here is a 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And so you can just rename them all if you want, so that they're easy for you to see as we start swapping them around. So it takes a little bit of time, but it's a nice easy way to create chord progressions if you're not really too good at playing the piano, or if you're not very good at music theory. Let's say we want to do like a 1, 4, 5, 3. We just take the 1, paste it here, 4 and the 5, paste them there, 3, copy and paste it there. And what we can then do is Command J to consolidate that MIDI clip, and that allows us to basically start inverting chords and changing them up quite a bit. So for example, okay, so if I loop this, then what I can do is take all these notes and click on invert. Invert again, didn't sound too great. We can take this note, bring it down an octave, take that, bring it down an octave. And as you can see, oops, these two notes are now matching up with those two notes, and so it's going to sound a lot more fluid. Take this, move it down an octave, this one, maybe this. Okay, let's see how this sounds. Okay, so you know that this is a 1, 4, 5, 3, I believe it was. But you can experiment with all kinds of orders and see what you think sounds best. And then once you've got this chord progression, you can easily just start messing with it a lot more. So you can get an arpeggiator, for example. And start adding in synths and effects and creating all kinds of stuff. So hope that this lesson was useful for you. If you found it useful, please like the video, please subscribe, hit the bell icon, all that good stuff. And I will talk to you again next time. Cheers.